You're tuned in to the It's Real podcast with your hosts, Kayla and Andrew Yaggie. Each week, we'll talk about what happens behind the scenes working full-time in real estate and share with you real-life stories, our successes and failures as we work to help consumers and industry professionals reach their real estate and real-life goals. Here we go.
Welcome to episode 93 of the It's Real podcast. I'm Kayla and I'm a mortgage lender.
I'm Andrew Yaggie. I'm a real estate agent.
Hey, Andy, how are we doing today?
Honestly, I'm dragging a little bit today, Kayla, but good to see you as always.
Always a pleasure. Was that because you were up late, trying to find a place for Buddy, the elf on the shelf?
Well, my wife has that taken care of most days. Luckily, I get a couple of turns, but yes, our elf is back. I think it's more just being on the verge of, there's a lot of junk going around as far as, cold and flu season. So just on the verge of fighting that off. And then it didn't help that I probably drank some pre-workout at 3:30 yesterday afternoon and went to the gym. And so as a result, I probably didn't sleep as well either.
3:30. How are you finding the energy to get up at 3:30?
3:30 in the afternoon, but most days I get up.
Andy.
No, but most days I do get up between 3:30 and 4. I don't know. It's just kind of my time. It's a great time to get up ahead of kids, and no phone calls, no emails, no text messages. It's good.
It's a life hack to get up before the rest of the world and just be with your thoughts. I used to do that way more. I'd get up at 4:30. I would do my devotionals, slowly get up, work out. And now I just feel like things have shifted. I think it's because I'm staying up later. I'm not doing the pre-workout at 3:30 in the afternoon, but
sure.
It kind of trickles over to the next day, but I feel you.
Yeah. Well, I normally don't make a practice out of that, but sometimes some days, and yesterday was a jam-packed productive day, but now I'm a little bit off today, but such is life. Got to keep rolling, right, Kayla? Got
to keep it going. And it's a busy month. I mean, month of December, it's notoriously just a crazy month. Although I always feel like it's going to slow down because it's it's the holidays. It doesn't. It just gets wild.
And I feel the same thing too. I was just talking to one of my friends on the phone that is more in agriculture, and just talking about the off season and just, how busy he is, even just work around the shop and planning for next year. And said kind of the same here. There are always things to do. So it's just, how do you want to spend your time and what do you want to do?
Okay. I have a question for you. So
Sure.
A lot of people talk about how this is the separation season. This is when your competition slows down. You need to grind. What are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like that? I go back and forth. That's why I'm asking is, sometimes by this time of the year, I'm exhausted. We grind all year. But then some people say, well, now is the time to speed up. How do you feel about that? What are your thoughts on that philosophy?
I think it depends on you and how you run your business. Interestingly enough, my team and we're going to do kind of some business planning and training in just a couple of days. And so we're going to sit down and kind of feed them from the fire hose of real estate really quick and cover a lot of things rapidly in an afternoon. And so I would say if you're not established and, or if you're really looking to grow or, to even gain momentum, now would be the time to grind. Kayla, I think, though, for individuals like you or for me who are pretty established and kind of have a following, I think we're grinding all year round and all the time, really, and have really worked to build our businesses, off of, past clients, referrals, and, most importantly, providing good service and then just attracting people, with having a presence online. So I think we're perpetually grinding, in my opinion. What do you think?
I think that's very true as we are, continuously moving and we never know how our days will look. We don't know if it's going to be, hey, I've got nothing on the calendar today. And then all of a sudden something blows up, an appraisal's low, clients need to see a house, someone needs to get pre-qualified. So I think that for me, I want to slow down and enjoy the holidays a little bit because I feel like every year it's always just, me on my phone or me working. And it's I really focused on getting support in place so that I can enjoy those things. I do think there is something to be said about Some people don't answer their phones. They don't do anything. That's not us, Andy. We're always going to answer our phone. But I think it's just a time of more, for me anyway, like reflection. What do I want the next year to look like? But also being present. I want to be very present for Christmas, the holidays, time with family. So I think that's just you just have to balance it. You just have to find pockets and ways that you can be, but also like don't let your foot off the pedal, I guess, your foot off the gas. So
yeah. So recognizing that we're already into the holiday season, and how was Thanksgiving and how was your presence last week?
good. We hosted Thanksgiving and it was a very relaxing weekend. And I think we had family over at 4 and they were gone by 7. So it was a quick, you spend like hours cooking and baking for it to be done so soon, but it was very low key. So what about you guys?
Tell me, I was just cruising around social media a little bit and had seen that this Christ Kindle market.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so it's I think it's Folkways is what it's called, and it's Chris Kindle Market through Folkways. It's just essentially a bunch of vendors that set up, get together, and that's outside. And then inside there's also vendors and a band and food and drinks, and there's a lot of like little boutiques, like local community businesses. So it was good. It was very festive. There's like parking, like you kind of have to walk a little bit, but it was a lot of kid things to do. There's alcoholic beverages, there's fires. So it was fun. I've never been, I wanted to try. It was smaller than I thought it would be. I thought it'd be a lot bigger. But it's a small little community event. So have you ever been?
I never have. For being so close to Fargo, we don't make it up, as often as we should. It just seems like too many, either being exhausted with the weekend hits or having too many other activities.
Yeah. One day you'll move here for real though, right? That's maybe bucket list. Never know.
That week hint number 2, the second week in a row that you're hinting at that.
Yeah, that's actually 2 weeks in a row I've done that. But I'm just saying, So, but no, it was a good event, and there's so much to do in Fargo that this time of year, we're always at the lake, that I really wanted to stay back a bit and see what, Fargo had to do, what there was to do on the weekends. There's like the boiler room has like Christmas stuff. Like there's a lot of like igloos.
So I have a question about that. So obviously I know the boiler room kind of discontinued their food service this summer, but they still kind of have a bar there and they'll do catering or have food trucks or something periodically. Is that kind of what they're doing?
Mm-hmm. I think so. I haven't been, or I haven't looked into it too much, but it appears to be attracting a lot of people. Like
I saw they really decorated for Christmas, and so yes. I was kind of curious to know, like, okay, so I know there's the bar piece, but like, do they have food there or anything too? Like, is it family friendly? Just because this past weekend or over Thanksgiving, we took the girls down to the Twin Cities, and we went to the children's theater in Minneapolis, and we saw the Grinch, which was a really, really great production. And then we went to kind of this supper club in kind of uptown South Minneapolis called the Creekside, and they really decorate for Christmas. And it was really awesome. The girls loved it. And so I had seen the boiler room was doing that. And I thought, if they had food or something, which it maybe appears like it's just more a bar for cocktails, more adults. But
yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got.
Yeah.
That's awesome though. There's so much to do, right? From the Nutcracker to these like igloos. And I think it's just fun to create memories. And again, we're so go this time of year. It's just nice to, slow down and take it all in.
Yeah, for sure.
And I want to know what you did for Thanksgiving, because was that what you guys did? Did you go that weekend?
Yeah, so we went down there Wednesday and then kind of hung out with my wife's family this year, and so it was kind of nice to get out of town and relax. And actually, I'm again, like we talked earlier, just a lot of people talk about this being a slow time of year, and and I know a lot of agents, I know a lot of lenders have had a more challenging year. I know a lot of home sellers, like there was frequent conversation around the Thanksgiving table this year, as I was talking to some of my wife's family, and even there were some guests of theirs that had come over who, maybe one lady in particular was older, was recently widowed, moved elsewhere, and had, quite a nice home somewhere else that is getting absolutely no looks because the market has been so soft. But amidst all of that, I look at, we still continue to list homes. And actually, I had a home in a very rural community near us that we've had listed for a number of months, not a lot of activity. And I thought, hey, we're going to carry this into the spring. No problem for the sellers based on their circumstance. And then out of nowhere, we get not one, but two offers. So it's just kind of
Dang.
peculiar, some of these things.
Mhm.
And then even I listed a house in Horace the other day up in more in your area, Kayla, and just looking at the amount of inventory, about 8.1 months of homes for sale in
Mm.
Horace. Just a crazy amount of inventory, but you figure all of
Mhm.
the builds and all of the problems they've had
Yeah.
with special assessments. But even I've been pretty pleased with the number of showings that home's gotten since we listed it on Friday as well. So
Yeah. And I think that's a good thing. And I think that as we go into 2026, yeah, I think, you know, so many people say, well, I'm going to wait for rates to go down. I think there's going to be a lot of pent up demand, a lot of people that are like, I mean, I feel like we're going into what, year 4 of this, like of
Mhm.
it just being like, okay. And I think I should elaborate. I think that buying a home for me personally, and for a lot of people I talk to, it's not just about the finances. It's about a safe place. It's about being able to, live comfortably, to fit your family. I mean, some people are busting at the seams and they need to get out of their apartment. They just have to, and a house is the option. And so I think there's a lot of people that are, we've talked about it before, but kind of warming up to the idea of, okay, here's the cost. What do I need to do to get there? And it's more about just being in a home. It's less about the money, is what I'm seeing anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like,
Yep.
obviously both are very important, but it's kind of like when you decide to pick out the vehicle you want, or you decide, you want to spend your money on vacations. I think it's kind of one of those things where a lot of home buyers are like, I'm just tired of renting. This is the next step. And what do I need to do to get there? That's how I feel 2026 is kind of like setting itself up to be.
Mhm. Yeah. So you think is it going to be a pretty hot market in 26 for those that are watching and are selling, buying? What's it going to look like?
You know, I feel like rates will come down a little bit, but I don't think it'll be the driving factor. I think the driving factor is going to be emotional and people just being ready to just make it happen.
Mhm.
I think when people are educated and they're getting details broken down of here's where you could have been if you bought 5 years ago, 2 years ago, I think there's this whole feeling of like FOMO, like, shoot, I should have done this. I'm going to do it now. But I think it'll be a busy 2026. I think also a lot of people are going to refinance. There's a ton of people that could have refinanced and saved a ton of money that are still saying, I'm going to wait till rates come down a little bit more. And I think there's probably a tipping point. If they get down a little lower, we'll see a lot of refinances.
Mhm.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of pent-up demand out there. And again, I look at our more immediate marketplace where I am. There just is always a shortage of inventory. So I think next year is going to be busier. I think, again, you draw that magical line in the sand of January 1st, new year, new opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
I've got big goals. I want to get places. Um, I think a lot of people are going to make a move in 2026. So I think
Yeah.
it's going to be a better year, than 2025 was. But yeah, I agree. Not for the reasons that most people would think, because I mean, I think rates kind of are where they're at.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things. It's like, this is what it is. Do you want to move forward or do you not? Because I think that's just kind of the tipping point. It used to be like when rates come down, I think people are like, okay, what do I need to do to make this happen?
Mhm. For sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Kayla, I've got a question for you. Have you ever heard of a website called Zillow?
Yeah, I have. A Zestimate.
Oh, the Zestimate. Yes, we love the Zestimate.
Don't I go to Zillow to like get a lender and a realtor? Isn't that what Zillow is for?
Yeah, absolutely, it is. That's what Zillow would like you to think. A serious question though. Any idea like how many of the buyers that you're working with, how many of them do find potentially their agent on Zillow?
I just talked to one this week that did.
Okay,
But
good
I mean,
experience for that individual, or so far so good?
I think that individual has had a good experience, but I mean, I would say 1 out of 25 clients are saying, "Oh, I just met him on Zillow." I would say most are saying referral from a family member. I've known them. It's my whatever, but it's not normally Zillow.
Hmm.
So just not as much as you think.
Sure. Well, I came across this the other day, Kayla, where I think you know who Tristan Ahumada is. Isn't he the
I
life code agent guy?
Yeah, I actually spoke at his event a few years ago.
You did.
Social Con. He's a great guy.
Cool. Yeah, pretty sharp, kind of a thought leader in real estate, but
Yes.
he's just kind of talking about Zillow, and this is more for agents and lenders. But a lot of people are after Zillow right now, filing lawsuits and even filing alleged RICO charges, which is kind of like racketeering charges. Kind of organized crime, kind of stacking up Zillow to be kind of at the same level of mob bosses. And
Mm-hmm.
basically what they're alleging, Kayla, is that they're monitoring agent-client communications. So Zillow
Mm-hmm.
bought a CRM company, and so supposedly Zillow has been eavesdropping, forcing their Zillow agents to use it. And if the agent does not recommend a Zillow home loan lender, then they're coming after them, kicking them out of the program. I mean, Zillow is really pushing hard, to get people into their Zillow home loan
Mm-hmm.
product, right? And for good reason, no doubt. I mean, obviously they want to boost their bottom line, but some of these agents, if they don't think Zillow is the best bet for that client, they are pushing them elsewhere. And Kayla, I think what a lot of people don't realize, I used to buy a lot of Zillow leads, like when I first got into the business,
Yeah.
and like I wasn't known in real estate. Like I bought a lot of Zillow leads, and I did really, really well with them. Did a great job of converting them, and it was pretty profitable. But
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people don't realize, like for instance, one property that I have listed here, if people go and request a tour or
Mm-hmm.
want to contact the agent, it's going to farm that information out to Zillow into one of Zillow's preferred lenders. So like in this area, and I guess it doesn't show it. Oh, yeah, there it does down here. There are a couple of local experts, and there's a lender that they probably are going to pass you on to or pass your information on to, and they may farm your information out, to many individuals. So I've actually had people, and I think we've talked about this before, Caleb, but I've had people say to me, well, or to someone in my office, well, I'm just really disappointed in Andrew because he hasn't responded to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gone on this page and I've hit contact agent. I put my information in there, and I get nothing because they're farming it out to another agent that doesn't follow up with them. So I think, overall, a variety of individuals going after Zillow kind of, asserting that, hey, they're doing some really shady things to really deceive consumers and really not do what's in their best interest, which is pretty serious, especially when you think, in terms of people buying a home. It's one of the largest purchases or investments they'll ever make.
Okay, so I remember you talking about this before this article came out. You had mentioned, okay, Andy, when was this? Was this months ago? A year ago?
I feel like it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have experienced Zillow in the world of people think that they're reaching out to me, but they're not, and it kind of reflects poorly on you because it's a misconception by the client. They think they're reaching out to Andy. Andy's not getting back, but it's basically going into Zillow land. And no one's reaching out?
Well, somebody should be reaching out in theory. I mean, they generally are going to connect you live. And if you don't answer, it just depends on, there are a couple of different ways. Like you can request a showing, and usually Zillow will try to get in touch with you as the buyer and then try to live connect you to an agent to give kind of a warm handoff, because we know a warm handoff always is going to be best.
Yes.
But if they can't reach you, then they might just send your information onto the agent and said, hey, we haven't been able to get a hold of Kayla right now, but we can try to follow up with her. So it's kind of interesting.
So, okay. So I feel like it's being taken to a new level. And now also on top of it, from what I've read, is that clients are also being put in the hands of a Zillow lender, or being told that, hey, you must use a Zillow lender. And that is concerning because that Zillow lender, for example, let's say a Fargo, North Dakota person or a Fergus Falls, Minnesota person, this happened to them and they're being told you have to use this Zillow lender. It's probably very uncommon that Zillow lender has North Dakota housing, Minnesota housing, bond programs, things like that. And so for the consumer, that can be completely devastating because you would not even know what options you had. You're basically being pigeonholed or told, here's your one option, because those big online lenders, they don't have the local programs, nor do they understand them. So that's concerning. So where do they stand? Are they just kind of in talks right now? They're just being accused, or are they being sued?
Yeah, so it sounds like, I mean, they're being sued on many fronts by many different groups. And I mean, there's still a lot of sparks flying in, the real estate realm, between the National Association of Realtors, some of the
Mhm.
MLS stuff that's been playing out, Zillow and others. And, it's really kind of interesting, to just kind of, kind of watch it and see what's going on. But undoubtedly, just like with most industries, Kayla, there's going to be an immense amount of change, coming down the line, especially as we look more at AI.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, again, if you're not changing, if you're not adapting, if you're not staying in front of people, you're probably going to fall by the wayside.
Yeah. And I think too, like there's a good balance, right? Like I don't want some like AI replacing me with clients, but finding AI to essentially helping you become more efficient is one thing. But yeah, some of these larger companies, I mean, spitting out pre-approvals and showing homes. And I think that you have to adapt, but as a consumer, you just have to be aware too. You have to be aware of like, do you want to work with somebody that you don't know? Do you want to work local? Like what's more important to you, speed or accuracy, or, hey, this person's well known, my friends use them. I think that we deal with that still. We still see people that are like, well, I'm using this online company, and it's because they just didn't know any better. So I think, we have to do a good job at telling people and educating them why it's so important to use your local people.
Right. Well, and at the end of the day, like, hey, it's great. Like Zillow is undoubtedly probably one of the best portal websites out there. Like it's a great place to search and a great place to look, but look, but don't click the button.
Look, but don't touch.
Yeah, right. Find someone local. Like talk if you're in a new area and you don't know an individual or you don't have any relationships, like get out there, look on Google, look at reviews, ask someone that you trust or a coworker or parents, whoever, like, hey, who'd be a good lender? Who'd be a good agent, and ultimately interview them. I think one of the problems is, again, us living in, we'll call it the Amazon.com society, where we're used to getting whatever we want in mere days. I've seen this happen before too, Kayla, where when I was playing the Zillow game, so to speak, and I'd have people reach out, hey, I want to go see the home today. Okay, great. Are you and kind of ask them a variety of questions. Hey, do you have an agent? Well, yeah, I do, but they're not responding. So can you just come and show me the house? And that would happen a lot. I think it happens more in bigger cities, but yeah. I'd say, well, no, I can't. Like I'm not a tour guide. So ultimately, just go find who's a good fit for you and them, and bypass all of this. Don't put your information into all of these websites. That's another huge pet peeve. People will go and put their information in 5 or 6 different websites and then get really upset when they're getting phone calls.
We've had some ads at the bank where we're like, hey, if you want to like put in your info and, we'll do a refi watch for you, whatever. And we've had some that I followed up on like, hey, you input your info, like, hey, and they get mad. And it's like, yeah, when you're providing your information online, it's, and to me, I'm following up to try to help. Same with, the people with Zillow too. But I think too, you just have to be aware. And, I was talking to my friend Katie today. She's a brand builder. She's big into SEO, GEO, AI optimization. And we were talking about, where do our referrals come from? Like, where do my referrals come from? And one of the things that we were talking about too is like, I'm starting to see referrals from Google because people Google me, people Google you, Andy. And it surprises me that more people are not researching the lender and more people are not taking the time. And I'm a broken record when I talk about this, but taking the time to figure out who you're working with versus going online and just saying, oh yeah, I've got this sheet of paper that says I'm good to go, but they don't know your goals, your hopes, your dreams, any of that. So I'm still surprised at how many people don't Google or ChatGPT or what have you, and still go online. I mean, as a realtor, are you seeing pre-approval letters from online lenders still, or is it?
Yeah, I just had a cringe one come through the other day from Rocket Mortgage, and I was like, oh,
why? Yeah,
but I don't know.
It's okay. Then you just guide them, and I think it really is. You're looking out for the client, because far too often than not, you're probably seeing those deals go sideways, and you're just trying to protect your client.
Yeah, without a doubt. But yeah, I don't know. I think that, as I look at this, and I was just looking around Zillow and just wondering like, hey, who's buying, leads from Zillow and playing the Premier Agent game these days? And like even in my zip code, I see an agent from Fargo who's buying leads in Fergus Falls, and I'm just thinking, oh man, like,
That's
yikes.
hard.
Well, it is because it's a little bit of a hike, and
Gotcha.
I mean, I can list homes in Fargo, no problem. Do I want to work with a lot of buyers in Fargo? No, I don't. I'll work with select buyers, but it's just kind of crazy. But one of the biggest problems and why there isn't a lot of success is a lot of people, a lot of agents, and probably lenders, they think they can spend their way to success. They think they can, pay for all of these different services and these lead sources and different things. And I mean, they end up spending everything. They never make any money, and therefore they don't succeed because they're not willing to do the work, and they don't build the right habits.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you are buying leads, as whether you're a lender and you're part of it or you're a realtor, don't you find that those are the leads that you are spinning your wheels over trying to get them to answer their phone? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, you'll know more about this than I do, but to me, I'd rather create relationships, improve to my community, and speak at events and get referrals from the people, the ambassadors out in my community than paying. I could be wrong. Tell me otherwise, but isn't it a lot harder to kind of field all these Zillow leads?
It is, although undoubtedly when you're starting out, unless you're, starting to work with a good team, like someone coming and working with you and becoming a loan partner and learning the right way and, surrounding themselves with good people, or even like with what we're doing, we're working at growing a team, and we have a fairly, young team, but, already, getting some momentum, but, just kind of teaching the right way, kind of along the lines of the book that I shared with you, Kayla, The Full Fee Agent.
Yes.
Where it just talks about, not wasting your time, because people will, and you see it a lot in the lending game, a lot of people will waste your time. And so really, as an agent, I'm going to be respectful of my client's time. And I ask for the same thing too. And hey, ultimately we may not be a good fit, and that's okay as well.
And I think too, like, we have to remember that it's a partnership with our clients, right? It's like, I want to mirror kind of what you're giving me and vice versa. And I can tell a client all day, Andy, like, hey, don't go spend any money. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. We're closing a loan this week. The client put 40 grand on a credit card, and, a lot of things then went sideways. And I looked, and my team and I spent, I think all in all, you can look at like how long you're in a file. It was like 16 hours because of that one thing. And people, like, the realtors, the builders, like the clients, they don't know sometimes how much it goes on behind the scenes, but our time is valuable. And so we have to remember that, it is a partnership, and you want to match that person too. Is, if you're just getting in the business, yeah, you probably are going to grind it out like that. But as you grow and as you want to align yourself with people that you want to work with, I love seeing people grow, because then they have that luxury a little bit of saying, you know what, I'm going to, have some boundaries. This is who I want to work with. And then I'll just send out that other person to, somebody else, or I'll refer it out elsewhere. And that's a cool place for people to be at. You know what I mean? Is to be just a little bit more selective, because time is the one thing that you just can't make more of. Yep,
absolutely. Well, Kayla, as we part ways today, obviously, we're in the holiday season. People are busy, but, I think kind of like you alluded to earlier, a lot of people they're kind of thinking, they're like, hey, I've outgrown this space, or hey, I'm dreading the holidays here because, we just don't have the room as we continue to grow. Our needs have changed. What is a parting piece of advice that you can give to someone who may be listening today, who may have some real estate goals ending the year and going into next year?
I hear right now, and I've talked about it before, the circle back. Let's circle back after the holidays, once things settle down. 90% of people are saying that. So what I'm telling people right now, because I have a lot of people that have told me that, and I said, hey, if I can give you one piece of advice, it would be get your things together now. Some people are trying to use up PTO year end. They've got some time. Take the time to get organized right now. Maybe take 20 minutes to do an online application, because what's going to happen is January is notorious for being the busiest month traditionally for new applications, meaning lenders are busier. You're kind of fighting for the time with the lender, the one-on-ones, the schedules are harder to get on. So I would just say, just take a couple extra steps in the month of December, gather your financials, and maybe just start an application. You don't have to do anything. But that's what I would say. And don't be afraid of starting an application just because you want to like pay off some debt or save more money, because we can always prepare for you to do those things, but this just gets you ahead of the curve of that rush after the new year. So just getting some things aligned, like an application and financials, would be my biggest like pieces of advice.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Andy?
I think, probably the biggest piece of advice, and I know we talked about it last time a little bit, but as you're kind of thinking about your real estate goals, if you're saying, hey, this is the time I'm going to get into that house, or maybe I'm going to sell. First of all, if you're buying, take a look at that holiday bonus, hang on to it, budget a little bit more wisely over the holiday season, and just think like, hey, do I really need this extra stuff, or do I really need to go and buy all of these extra gifts? It really isn't the material things. In fact, I was sitting with Violet, my 6-year-old, the other day, and she said to me, Kayla, she said, Dad, I really hope this year I'm on the naughty list. And I said, well, Violet, why would you want to be on the naughty list? And she said, well, Dad, because I have plenty of toys. Like I have some in my room, in the playroom, in the living room, and I just really don't need anything else. So I'd like to be on the naughty list. I'm like, well, Violet, you don't have to be on the naughty list. Like, you're a really nice girl. You could be on the nice list. We could just tell Santa and, grandmas and grandpas, maybe you don't need that much. Well, yeah, Dad, I think I really would like to be on the nice list, but maybe I could just take some of my presents and sell them, and so we could have some money to give to some other people. Wow. And so I would say have that mindset, and just
the Violet mindset.
Yeah, exactly. And just set yourself up for success in the new year. If you're buying, if you're selling, get the ball rolling early. I mean, spring, things get really busy. We're finishing up a flip house project, Kayla, and we've been kind of slowly working on it as we've had other projects going. And, probably are going to have it out the 1st of January, which historically can be a great time to list a house, just as that calendar magically turns and everyone has their resolutions. Mm-hmm. It's kind of amazing how much activity, we see at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. So I would say start thinking ahead and put a plan in place for your success.
I love that comment too about the holiday bonus too. Like, some people think they should just go, pay off a bunch of debt with it. And I would tell people too, like, hold on to it for a hot minute, because maybe you don't need to pay off debt. Maybe when you get pre-qualified, you actually have to show a little bit more down. So you need that money in your pocket. So I would also say, don't assume, just, take the time to just have the conversations so that you can be guided and strategies can be made for, that next step of getting pre-approved.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Okay. Well, this wraps up episode 93. Kayla, have a great rest of the week.
I will, if you will.
See ya.
Bye.